Alright guys, so I made that little video about 3 weeks ago now saying I was returning to tech videos, and today we're back at it. So this first video, I want to show you guys how to breathe life in your old Mac hardware. Let's just say, for example, you have an older MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, I don't know, Mac Mini, or even an iMac like the one I have behind me. This one is actually a mid-2010 Core i3 iMac, and Apple discontinued a lot of support for the 2009 Macs with High Sierra, which is 10.13.6. So that was the maximum a lot of these Macs can go. But today I'm going to show you how these Macs can go even further. So with this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can put the latest macOS on your Mac. So we're talking like Mojave, Catalina, anything higher than your current Mac can support. And these Macs we'll be using something called macOS Patcher. Here's a little bit of a image of the website, and this patcher was developed to allow these Macs to run newer versions than Apple lets you, unofficially of course. So with today's video, I'm going to take a little bit of a different perspective. I have this GoPro Hero 7. I will be putting it on my head so you guys can have a point of view from what I'm seeing and how I'm doing things. Alongside, I'll have the screen recordings of the computer showing the whole process, and I'll kind of splice in between both of these so you can see, keyboard and all that sort of thing, like if I'm connecting, disconnecting things. So I figured we're going to try the GoPro and see maybe if I can give a little bit of a different perspective to these videos and see if maybe this interactive method will work. So just keep that in mind throughout the whole video. This is the first time I'm doing something like this, tech related with a GoPro, at least on my head and kind of showing the process. So at the end of the video, I'd really appreciate if you leave a comment regarding if you liked it, if you didn't, things I'd like to change, stuff like that. So just keep that in mind, and I'm trying this new thing and hopefully it works. So I have the macOS Catalina Patcher open on my Alienware over here on my laptop, and it's developed by dosdude1. This guy does some great work, and there are a couple other patchers out there, but I prefer to use this one every time. This one specifically, I pulled it up so I could remember the important info, and I'll highlight it here on the screen and show you. The important info is the APFS boot ROM support. Basically, Apple made a new style of partition, like some read-only wizardry stuff, and I don't quite understand it 100%, but basically it's a new type of partition, and how it reads and writes is a little different, or a file system type. So your Mac needs to support that. So if it supports High Sierra natively, which is 10.13.6, then you're okay to just run this. Now, if you have a previous version, you're going to go ahead and update your Mac to the latest supported version of macOS that you have. Or if you look at the website, there's an option, and it says if you have not previously installed High Sierra, you can download and install this package if running OS X 10.10, which is Yosemite, or later. Then you can install the latest boot ROM version. So we can do that as well. Now, this only applies to those of you that have not updated your Mac in a long time. Personally, when I get a Mac that's either in for repair from a friend of mine or something like that, and they have not updated in a while, I generally just jump version to version to update and get that boot ROM support to the max level that Apple has. So for example, if your machine's running, I don't know, 10.10 Yosemite or something, just work your way up and go ahead and get those updates for your firmware installed, and we should be good to go. So as for system compatibility, if you check the website, and I'll have it up on the screen kind of scrolling here, I'm not going to go over it too much in detail, but these are the Macs that you can use for this. You'll notice that some of the iMacs and Mac Minis and maybe a few of the other Macs have some issues regarding what's supported and what's not, mainly GPU stuff, so like AMD Radeon graphics cards or NVIDIA, stuff like that. You're going to want to pay attention to that before you do this, because they do make notes there, and some of them are labeled as unstable with so-and-so GPU or something like that. So that's something you're going to want to keep in mind before you do this upgrade. Another thing I'd like to point out before we go forward with these installs, because I'm going to show you two different ways, is that this might not be as stable as what your Mac is running right now, but in my experience, it's actually pretty stable. Some people, the mileage may vary, let's put it that way. But I have had this running on quite a few Macs now. I think I've gone through 5 or 6 within this year that I've repaired and stuff and upgraded, and I've had no real issues with upgrading to like Mojave or Catalina and running it on this older hardware. It's been great. That being said, if you have a Mac that you can upgrade, like hard drive, like swap that to an SSD or upgradable RAM or even graphics cards in some of these older iMacs, depending on what the guide says and what's compatible, plenty of research online, you can figure that out. So depending on what you can do to upgrade it, I recommend maxing it out when you do this, because then that further extends the life and you're going to get the best possible performance out of your machine as you can. Even without upgrading, I mean, I have a MacBook Air that I'll show you guys in a bit that I'm doing the upgrade to. 128 gig SSD, nothing special. It's a mid 2011, and it runs it great. And that's with no upgrades. I haven't even changed the SSD. The SSD's been in there from the start, you know, stuff like that. And we'll upgrade this machine today. This machine you'll see in upcoming episodes. It's going to get some upgrades. I'm going to reveal a little more information about it. All right, then I guess it is time to jump into it then. Get the GoPro on and see you guys at the computer. So we're here at the iMac and we're ready to get started with install method number 1, which is via USB. So you're going to want to grab a 32 gig or 16 gig USB stick. I'm using this PNY USB 2.0 USB drive I've had laying around for a long time, and it works just fine. I believe you can use USB 3.0 as well. Your mileage may vary, so if it doesn't work, try something else. Sometimes I have problems with different sticks, but this one has worked well for me. So now I'm going to show you on the iMac here. If we go to About This Mac is running 10.13.6. This is the latest supported version for this iMac. That's it. So now, since we want to upgrade it, let's just go ahead and go to Safari. We're going to need to download some things. So we're going to go ahead and go to macOS Patcher. And I can't spell today, but that's okay. So dosdude1, you want to pay attention for that on the link here. This is the one you want to use. RMC, this is if you have an older Mac, like we're talking older than Macs that have high Sierra support officially. But we want to go ahead and grab the Catalina Patcher right here, right to this website. So from here, just go ahead and click download latest version. Click allow if you haven't allowed it in Safari yet, and you'll be well on your way to downloading the Patcher DMG. So I noticed one thing though. If we look here, our graphics card, I mentioned this earlier, might have support issues. We have a 4670 ATI Radeon HD. So system compatibility, we'll double check here. 5000 series and 6000 series will be almost unusable with Catalina, but we're okay because we have the 4670. Perfect. All right. The DMG is downloaded. You can go ahead and close Safari, Command Q. And from here, just go to your downloads folder and open it up. We can also close this too. We don't need this. Go ahead and check for volumes. All right. You can normally drag this to the Finder or wherever, but I'm going to go ahead and push Control and then click Open. So that way it'll allow you to run this, this app that is not certified or doesn't identify it as having a developer certificate. See, it says macOS Catalina Patcher is from an unidentified developer. Are you sure you want to open it? Yes. So when you hold Control, you're allowed to push Open. If you need to open this app and it doesn't quite work on the first try, go ahead and push Control, click it, and then click Open, and you'll get the prompt to open it. So this is Welcome macOS Catalina Patcher. We'll push Continue. Contributors, support these guys. They've done a phenomenal job bringing this up. All right. Now we need to download a copy of the Catalina installer. So go ahead and push Download Copy and start download. Depending on your internet speed, this may take a while. This is a pretty big download. It's about 8.7, 8.6 gigs. So you're going to be waiting quite some time for this to download. So I'll come back when it's all downloaded. We're all done with downloading. The first method I'm going to show you is this one, the create a bootable installer. So this is where you're going to need your little flash drive. So you can click on that, and now it'll show you all the options. So if I plug in this flash drive right now into the back of the iMac, which I'll show you. So we're going to take this drive, find a free USB port. You'll do the same thing on your laptops. It's plugged in. All right. May take a second to appear on the screen. My drive is known as untitled, so we might have to go back and click it again. My drive is untitled. You want to click your drive and then click start. Now I have already made the USB installer, so I'm not going to need to do this. So click start, wait for the process to finish. I did make one note though on my Google Doc, and I wrote that make sure your USB is formatted as macOS extended journaled, and it'll throw an error too to let you know. And sometimes you might even have to try a different USB port. I've just had some weird kinks occasionally with this bootable installer, but that's all right. So as soon as your flash drive is made, you're all good to go. It can ask you to restart, I think. But in our case, we're just going to close the installer, close this. Now, go to the top, and then we're going to go ahead and go to shut down. Note that this wireless keyboard and mouse aren't going to do you any favors here. So you can go ahead and set those aside. You're going to want to grab a wired keyboard. So you want a wired keyboard, something I always keep around. And I'm going to go ahead and just plug this into the back of the iMac. This is going to help us out a lot. And two, if you even want to, a mouse. You don't necessarily need it. You can get through a lot of the setup without the mouse, but I recommend having one anyway. I'm going to go ahead and just plug that in there and be ready to go. So now that we're ready and we have our wired hardware here in order to interact with the Mac, we're going to go ahead and hold Option. So you're going to want to hold Option on your keyboard, and I'm going to go ahead and push the power button. This is normally where you're going to hear the Mac chime come on, where it makes it the startup noise. So keep holding Option. We want to hold Option until we see a menu come up, like this one. So from here, you have options. Macintosh HG is my current internal drive. macOS base system is the one we want. That appears as the flash drive. And then recovery is also related to my current boot drive. You want to select your USB installer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Again, you can use the keyboard to select it. And now we'll wait for it to start. Now, unfortunately, I cannot quite capture the screen on the Blackmagic here for you, but I have it here. So we're going to do our clean install. Now, you can use your keyboard here to navigate through, or a mouse if you have it, but we're going to want to go to Disk Utility. Now we're here, we can get into Disk Utility. Remember, this is not just iMac specific. You can do this on every Mac as long as you have a keyboard and mouse and do the same procedure. So here I have an internal hard drive that I'm not using on this iMac currently. I'm using an external SATA enclosure because the internal drive needs to come out anyway. This iMac needs a repair on that. The drive is old and just not running to its top speed. But you would want to format your internal drive. For me, though, this is my Macintosh HD. We want to do a clean install, so I'm going to go ahead and click Erase. And Disk Utility just went full screen on its own. Cool. Now, APFS. We were talking about this support earlier. Apple uses this from, I think, High Sierra onwards. So this is something that I'm just going to go ahead and use. I'm going to rename my drive Macintosh HD. All right, and then make sure your GUID partition map is selected. Now go ahead and push erase. Note this will wipe all of your data, hence this is why we're doing a clean install. This is probably the best way to unofficially upgrade your Mac to the latest version just by doing a clean install. Operation was successful, okay. Click done. We don't need disk utility anymore. You can go ahead and quit disk utility. Now we want to reinstall a new copy of macOS. Double click that or select it using your keyboard if you don't have a mouse. Okay, now we're on macOS Catalina. Push continue, push agree again. Now it's going to ask you where you would like to install Catalina. If you have a drive looking like this is your internal drive. If you're installing to an external disk, like I am, go ahead and push Macintosh HD, the one you'd like to use. Mine's the external drive. I want to use the external drive. I'm going to go ahead and push install. Remember, if you only have one drive in your machine, use the internal drive. And now we wait for it to install. So my computer just restarted. It says 17 minutes remaining, or about 17 minutes. It's gonna take its time. You're gonna need to wait, let it do its thing, let it install, and we'll come back when it's done. Finally rebooted here. It's taken quite some time. You might experience this yourself. This might take much longer than the time estimate says. So just set aside a good amount of time for this, or go do something else while it's installing, because it definitely can take a while. All right, everything took a while. I'm assuming it's just because this Mac has this i3 and 4 gigs of RAM. That's the bottleneck. Plus we're using USB as an external drive for our installation. But I'm just gonna go right through the setup. Now, if you're setting this up for the first time and you want to bring all your data back, go ahead and do the whole setup. Now, if you have some errors with macOS Patcher, go ahead and check out the FAQ on their website. This will tell you everything you need to know regarding this, and they even have GitHub issues as well if you're really into things like that. And it brought us to a login prompt. Cool. Enter our login info that we set right here. Patch is available for this model, night shift patch. If you use night shift, you're gonna want this, and I can tell you that right now because I have experience with it and it has helped me out quite a bit. All right, we're gonna go ahead and restart later because I'm gonna show you guys what the Patcher tool is about. Go to About This Mac, and I'll show you guys where we're at here. Catalina, up to date. We can close that. The most important thing here is this thing called macOS Patcher. You're gonna want that, click it open. No new patches. You can click View. So these are the patches that you have, the version number you have, and these are the only necessary patches you need to keep this computer running Catalina. If you have a different Mac or a different model, these will vary. That is how you put Catalina on an old Mac via USB, clean install, and you can go ahead and use it as normal. So I have my MacBook Air now, and I do use this normally. So let's say that you use your computer normally and you want to do an install as you would like upgrading macOS, except that you want to upgrade to an unsupported version or unofficially supported version. So we can do that. That's not a problem. So you do the same thing, go to do dosdude1. We'll go ahead and pop Chrome open and do that. My screen is scaled just due to the fact that I'm able to record it here so you guys can see it. So we're up. I'm going to go ahead and click download latest version. I'm going to do the same exact thing. Wait for it to download. to save time, I've already gone ahead and downloaded the Install Catalina app through the Patcher. So that way we don't have to wait. Go ahead and just click open, close this. All right, welcome to Catalina Patcher. Continue, continue. We already have a copy of the installer. It's in the downloads folder. That's the one you want. Click open, say install to this machine, and click start. I'll have to enter my password. So one thing I forgot to mention earlier is after you enter your password, system integrity protection must be disabled. So we need to go ahead and boot recovery here and do that. So in order to disable the protection, we're going to need to boot in a recovery mode. Now, the way we do that is by holding Command R and pushing the power button. So I'm going to do that now. Command R, power, and hold. Now, if you have an older Mac and this doesn't exactly work, there's an Apple online support thing that will help you out. Some of these computers didn't come with internet recovery and stuff, but you can go ahead and look up the results and see if one of the key combinations works for your machine. So here we go. We have booted macOS utilities, and now you want to go up here, utilities, click terminal. So now that the terminal is open, you're going to want to type CSRUTIL space disable. This is disabling system integrity protection. Push enter. Please restart the machine for the changes to take effect. Perfect. Close that. Go ahead and click restart. So I've booted back into macOS. I'm going to open my Patcher app again and proceed to go and click install to this machine this time. Now that system integrity protection is disabled, we can push start and install to this machine. Password is entered, and there we go. It's now installing directly to this machine. So there we go. The installer has reported success. A patched copy was created and is stored in that location. The installation will now be started. So install Catalina has come up. Push continue, push agree again, and install it just like a normal update. Now that my password is entered, we can go ahead and wait for it to install. So now this is just going to install just like a regular update. At the very end of this, you're going to have to go and re-enable system integrity protection. Once the machine restarts, it's going to go through the same process of installing. You're just going to have to wait, and as soon as it's done, you might have to do a couple setup things. And as soon as that is complete, you'll be welcome back to the desktop. Everything I showed you on the iMac with the Patcher tool is the exact same over here. And you're good to go. Of course, I need the night shift patch over here, and I'll restart later. But as you can see in the corner, if I go to About Mac, there we are. Mid 2011 13-inch, and we're on Catalina, latest build. So success, we've done it then. Everything's installed. It's gonna take probably a couple restarts for everything to optimize, but other than that, it'll be snappy, nice and quick. Check our software update here, and we're up to date. So this works for any of the Patcher apps. You can go ahead and use this. If you guys want me to cover a different Patcher for older computers, then definitely let me know about that, and I can try and cover that for you guys. Just leave a comment down below, and let me know if you want to see this for older Macs to see their true potential. Even if they can't upgrade to today's latest OS, but if they can upgrade to something further than Apple cut them off support for, then let me know in the comments if you want to see that. Maybe I'll try and get my hands on an old Mac and do it.